What's up? So, this is the first episode of the Generalists, which is a 3D lifestyle-based podcast that me and my good friend Ewan, also known as Axis, have started together. It's something we've wanted to do for a while, but we've always kind of struggled with coming up with a good name for it and how niche we want it to be. And we do want it to be quite niche, but we want it to kind of fill a gap. We feel like there's not really any 3D podcasts that are half in, half out, and we want to be able to speak about lighting and texturing and whether you should learn Houdini or not, but also speak about Burnout and creative block. So it's a little bit of both. If you don't know anything about Ewan, he's Scottish like me, and he was once a Cinema 4D artist. He does have a ton of Octane tutorials on his channel, which you can check in the description below. He is now a full-time Houdini artist at the Mill in London, and we've been friends for a long time. He's taught me a lot personally, so it's great to just hear us talk about 3D stuff, about completely random stuff like cereal, and I'll let you listen to us ramble. So without further ado, expect another tutorial soon, Monday hopefully, and have fun listening to the first episode. I hope you enjoy it. So you can check out Ewan and me in the description, and I hope you enjoy. Okay, so here in cinema we have a scene.
What's up guys, Axis here, and I'm back with showing you how to create a simple shockwave in Houdini.
I'm listening to music, and some days I'm listening to podcasts because I can find that podcasts can distract me more because I get too engaged in it. So I think it can be the same as like speaking to people.
Yeah,
because you get so engaged in what's going on, and then you're not thinking about what you're doing. Whereas it's like with music as well, I can't have like really like hyped up stuff on. Like it's got to be like binaural kind of chill mixes, you know.
Yeah, I know what you mean. And even some days I'm like, I can't listen to any music or anything because it's like I'm either too frustrated or like it's gonna irritate me or something. Sometimes I just don't listen to anything.
Yeah, sometimes I struggle to like get a decent workflow going without it though. It's like I don't know, sometimes the thought of just doing work inside, like it's really hard to get momentum in the day without something there.
Yeah, you need some sort of like background noise, otherwise it's a bit awkward.
Yeah,
it was like when I turned off my fan. I'm so loud now.
Well, what's it like going into the studio though? You like get there and like does it hit like 9 o'clock and everyone goes into work mode?
No man, everyone comes in at fucking like 9:30. Like everyone's late, and then they'll get told off, and then they'll come in on time for one day, and then that's it.
It must just be chaos with so many people. It must just be.
Yeah, I mean it's okay, like because like most of the people in the studio aren't fucking like loud or anything. Even sometimes I'm just like I wish like someone would actually say something. Because it's so quiet
in this big room, and you're just hearing nothing but
all you hear is fucking computers
and
clicks.
That's funny. I don't know how well I'd handle that. Like I never liked the whole school environment, but the fact that the thought of that you're actually like just sitting there and
see what I want. With the I want a cubicle though. I want like my own office. It says like Mr. Axis on the door.
Oh. I can't imagine an artist in a cubicle.
I don't mean like a cubicle, like not like the Matrix or whatever. I mean like like the individual office for the door and that, and then a window.
I think it would be the funniest thing ever to be in a room of cubicles and just stand up, and just look over like this thing.
And you feel like you're in a movie.
Just see like one of their dudes standing up on the other side of the room.
I would definitely chuck things at people though. Like just throw stuff in the air and see where it landed.
Oh, it'd be brilliant. I would totally do that. I'd just ping pencils. You just gotta ping it in the same direction every day.
Yeah. Eventually I'll get told off.
Yeah, you can't. No, it's like in Friends where Joey prank calls Chandler at his work every day. He's been doing it for like 8 months. So you've just got to like start pinging it really accurately at one specific person, and they'll never know where it's coming from. You start seeing someone in the break room with red marks on their face.
At a certain point, I think they'll wait for it. You know, if I do it at the same time every day, maybe I'll switch up though. You know, when at lunchtime.
And just objects start getting progressively bigger.
Like throw like a monitor at them. Knock them out. Yeah, I mean, it can be good and bad. Really, it's all dependent on who's in the office, to be honest. Like, if you're in a workplace with people that are shit, it's gonna be shit. But if it's with people that you actually like, at least tolerate, then it's okay. You know.
I'm still up and down about going into a studio. Like,
you should try it out. I think, but do it like freelance. Don't like fucking sign a contract.
Yeah,
you know,
it's got to be in Edinburgh though as well.
Yeah,
like,
or you could do 1 day a week.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I know.
That's what they were trying to get me. That's what they're trying to get us to do now. They're like, because people are starting to go back in now after coronavirus. Well, I mean, I'll say it like it's over, but they're like, oh, you should start going in 1 day a week soon. And I'm like, okay, maybe if I can like go in after the tube has stopped being so fucking hectic, because like I don't want to be standing in like some guy's mouth during coronavirus, you know.
I mean, the coronavirus particles are 50% smaller than the fabric of like the masks that 90% of people are wearing, unless it's like one of the surgical masks. So it's like these cheap masks we're all wearing, the coronavirus particles just go right through them anyway, so they're basically useless.
I thought that it was like it stops more virus coming out from you. It doesn't like prevent you from getting it. It's just
that's
like
the thing. So if you've
got the
virus,
it a little bit.
Yeah, if you've got the virus, the particles just go straight through the mask, unless you've got like those like really expensive ones, like what are they called, like N95 masks or something. Yeah. Unless you got one of those.
Yeah, those are like fucking 40. I looked up, and then one was 40
they're all
euro.
sold out. Yeah, they're all sold out.
But I don't. That's what's so annoying about fucking. Well, the one thing that's annoying about COVID, like whenever I fucking try and buy anything, like I think that I'm being slick buying like some fucking hair clippers, but then you get to the checkout and they're all sold out. It's so fucking shit.
I just got another haircut yesterday. I'm so happy to have that luxury back.
Yeah, I need to go because my barber's is open and they've got little fucking like plastic separators and stuff. I guess it's because it's like in the city.
You need to get a skin fade when your hair grows back.
I think so. I think I would definitely suit that. So like a 0 to and then I'll just buzz the whole top to like a 1. Look like Nico Bellic.
Well, that's kind of what I looked like a few months ago when I shaved mine. I was like, that was like just as I started doing face cams on the intro, like starting before I got my camera. Just like was doing it on my phone just to get people familiar with my face.
Yeah,
they look so ghetto, but.
And now everybody's like, I'm not going anywhere near him. He's fucking skinhead.
Well, I'd done like 4 of them and I wore a hat in every one. It was like bald on top.
They're like all the fucking Scottish people do the same. They all look like junkies, man. They're all from Trainspotting, you know.
Actually,
literally, we all do now though, because like everybody's shaved their head.
Okay, yeah, lifestyle affecting creativity. Yeah.
This could maybe tie into fucking lockdown though.
No, I absolutely, because I feel like it's made some people more creative and some people less.
I guess. In what way would it have made you more creative being inside though?
It's like I've been through a few. Well, there's more momentum there. You know, you're going.
Well, you're like force.
Yeah, like you're.
Okay.
There's less friction. You know, like for example, it's like if you're at work and then you get the train home and you get back home and it's like it breaks it up. Or it's like at lunch you're going out and you're walking somewhere and you're coming back, and in a way that probably does make you more creative. As opposed to, I mean, I've tried to enforce that, to like go out and sit in my kitchen and cook an omelette and sit there and not bring my food back through, and like sit with like a fork in one hand and clicking on deformers in the other.
All that inspiration comes from the shower now.
It's like daily walks as well, I feel like help. But no, I mean, like at the start of lockdown, my sleeping routine immediately went out the window, like to begin with. like after the gym's closed, and I mean, it didn't affect me too much because I work from home anyway. But to begin with the lack of, I mean, the lack of necessity of going outside, and then just not being able to go outside. My sleeping routine was backwards, just staying up to 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning every night. I was still getting stuff done. I was like doing renders and making tutorials, but I quickly fixed it because I know I don't function well like that. Like, I wake up in the middle of the day and I feel clammy and horrible, and
yeah, you don't want to be working when you feel like that either. You're just like, okay, I'm gonna go to bed now, and then your sleeping schedule is even more fucked up.
Like, I think that's kind of a law, is like you can be creative on a unhealthy lifestyle, but you can't be productive. And you know, you get people that say, oh, I'm more creative at night, and yeah, that's true, but you're probably not more productive at night.
What do you mean by unhealthy lifestyle though? Because what if you just work and you just like fucking eat shit all the time? So like you don't even take any time to like look after yourself. You're just working. Yeah,
well, that's unhealthy, isn't it?
It's unhealthy, but like you could say that's more productive. But it's probably a short-sighted way of looking at it, because you're probably gonna get burnt out from doing that, or die.
Flop over at your desk. So many people have been doing that. You hear about all these like dudes in Asia who just like sit playing games for 26 hours and then just
they get like a blood clot.
That happened to some guy in England. He just like sat. He was like a tradesman as well, and he just like, after coronavirus, he just sat and like played games like Warzone the whole time, and then just like died. Like,
I mean,
it's a bit scary.
I know, because like if you think about it, like you and me probably sit at desk for fucking hours and hours at a time. So when I'm at a desk more hours of the day than I'm not. Yeah, exactly. So, but I don't know how to avoid the blood clot. All I did when I saw that article was stand up and walk around my room, and it went back to normal after that. I
mean, I try to get step count in every day.
Oh, I don't.
I do cardio every day.
I need to though.
And I train every day. I know you need to start training.
I don't want to go outside though. I hate going outside.
I live in the middle of nowhere. My nature walks are nice. If you walk around, you're just gonna.
Yeah, no, I
live around taxis and people shouting and.
Yeah, people like fucking like vaping in my face and that.
Yeah,
it's
you
so
have to
shit.
take a bottle of water so you don't get acid thrown on you as well.
Oh yeah, that's true. I finally got rid of those bottles of water. I took them with me one time. No, but like for real though, you would do that too.
Yeah, probably.
Maybe. Probably not.
Maybe just like a 500 milliliter bottle of water. No, maybe not like a gallon.
It was worth it though. It didn't even evaporate that much. I had it in there for a year.
Really?
Well, not in the bag, but like in my room. It was behind behind something that was shaded.
What if it's not even for you? What if you help someone else with it?
Yeah, that's true. But actually, I think that if I saw someone get an acid attack, I'm not coming towards the person. I'm running away. I'm gonna be honest.
It's so funny to hear all these horror stories about London. You've been living there for like a year and a half and just seen nothing.
But it is in a way like you know, like being worried about terrorism on a plane or whatever. Like it happens, and like terrorism's a thing, but it's not like there's a lot more common things that happen that you should be worried about, like fucking like car crashes or you know, like that stuff is quite.
I'd love to get in a car crash in London though. Like, you get in a car crash here, it's not some country road, you're doing 60, you spin out, a branch through your chest. You crash in London, you're
doing like 5 miles an hour.
Yeah. At highest you get to like 30.
Well, you should see some of the folk on the like motorbikes though. They'll go past it like 90 on this little like road where cars are all down the side of the road and everything.
That's funny. I mean, driving a car in London must be very unsatisfying. You just stop all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess it depends what time of day you're driving, but yeah, most of the time it's fucking like that. I wouldn't even want to cycle here because of that. Because I'd be worried about getting knocked off all the time.
What was it? What's that celebrity?
Simon Cowell.
What's his name?
Simon Cowell broke his back. That's what I thought you were talking about. Why are you laughing at this guy? He broke his back. Just because he got #1 every year on fucking X Factor.
No, it was
like the Christmas #1.
Who was it? It was Noel Edmonds. The guy who used to do like Who Wants to Be a Millionaire or something. He learned how to drive a bus, got a bus license, and then bought one so he could get to work faster by driving the bus.
That's like the most petty The most petty thing I've ever heard, I think.
I know, it's brilliant. Like, I would love to do that. Just drive a bus down the bus lane to get to work quicker.
Expensive though. It's got to be like hundreds of thousands at least. Like,
oh yeah, there's a million.
500 to a million. Yeah.
Doesn't matter to him. He can just do what he wants. What were we saying though?
Why doesn't he just move closer to work? Never mind.
I know, right? You could do that. Yeah. We keep straying off.
Fucking no Edmonds. Ozzy Osbourne doing a wheelie and breaking his back.
Apparently, he broke his back on an electric bike, and he wasn't even doing anything.
Wait, he wasn't? I thought he got hit.
He was on an electric bike, right? And he wasn't doing anything crazy. He was just test driving it in his garden.
He what?
He was just test driving the bike in his garden, and he fell off.
In his garden?
Yeah.
What the
he wasn't like speeding down a motorway.
I thought that he got hit or...
Nah, man, he was just driving around his garden and fell off.
That's definitely something that would happen to me though. I shouldn't laugh. I'll never ride an electric bike from my back garden.
In the whole kind of consensus of someone's lifestyle though, I definitely think creative like flow works different with everybody. I mean, I'm someone that's like locked onto a self-improvement path because I believe that makes me more productive, which then makes me more creative. Because I don't like to be productive when I don't feel good about it. Like I might get a lot of stuff done, but then there's no work-life balance, and I feel bad. And
and then you'll burn out faster as well.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's the thing, is that you align your lifestyle, and then you're going to end up cooking for a long time, which then makes you more productive rather than having a week where you're just crazy, and then a week where you can't do anything, and then a week where you're crazy, and then a week where you can't do anything.
Or you just keep doing it, and then you end up with like no hair and that.
Yeah. And dying at 68 or something because you're not eating properly. I mean, I think my worst thing is I drink a lot of coffee, and then I drink like 5 cups of coffee a day.
Oh man, I don't drink any.
The amount of days though, it's like I want to make sure I'm not the only one. Like the amount of days like I don't start getting any work done till like 12. It's crazy, and I like try to robotify myself and like believe that I can just like wake up and start working at 9 or like 8:30 or whenever. But I can't.
Yeah, no, I'm impressed that you had a routine when you didn't have like you didn't have like a set workplace or anything. Like that's what I found difficult when lockdown happened, was like I would just wake up and it would be time for work. You know, like I wouldn't have any time before.
Yeah, that's where I think like waking up, like meditating, doing some journaling, doing some cardio, then you just like you've already got flow, you've already got momentum. And I think if you like gather momentum outside of your work and then go into your work with it. And another thing as well is like they say, to get a flow state, the best thing you can do is to start working on something that you've already got momentum on. So something you've already started, like a project that already exists. So it's like to get going in the day, it's like go into something and grade those pictures that you've been meaning to grade, because then after you've done that, you're just going to snap into the next thing and it will like start ricocheting. Whereas if you sit down and you're like, oh, I've got to start this new thing, and it's like doing that straight away is too heavy. So you need to just like do something lighter, and like working out or meditating or doing something that takes a bit of discipline will also do that. And then from that you can just ease into your work, rather than if I wake up, brush my teeth, take a bunch of vitamins, chug some ginseng because I think it will make me more productive, and then make a coffee and sit at my desk. I do not end up doing work. Maybe like one day a week I'll end up doing work. I end up watching YouTube for an hour.
Have you got like a camera in my flat or something? How do you know my morning routine?
Is that what you do?
Well, I don't drink coffee.
Do you take Siberian ginseng?
No. I get up, have a shower, eat my crunchy nut.
Your crunchy nut cornflakes. That's funny.
Yeah.
That's funny. You're such a cereal person.
I fucking love cereal. But it does get boring. Like, I wish I had more of a selection. But it's like, when I'm at the supermarket, I'm like, I've got to buy all my other stuff. And then, like, cereal boxes are fucking, like, they're pretty, they take up quite a lot of room, even though they're not heavy. And I've got to carry that all the way back. And if I just have, like, a bunch of bags with just a single box of cereal in them, it's not
You should get the mini
happening.
packs. You should get the mini packs that you take on holiday.
Oh, those are so shit, though. I get 7 of those, maybe.
I know. I do kind of eat cereal every day. I eat a protein granola, you know, the fuel one. I have that.
What do you have for breakfast then?
I have that. So I have like a pharmacy. I have granola, like protein granola, you know, the fuel one, and like the really overpriced one in the purple box. Yeah. I have that with a protein yogurt. So it's like 27 grams protein. It's pretty decent for like 370 calories. Sort of like does the job.
Yeah.
And then I eat an omelette at lunch, and I eat typically beef for dinner every day.
Okay. Getting that swole diet.
Yeah, it's like 150 grams of protein.
Christ almighty.
Yeah, I think omelet's like 52 grams of protein. It's like my entire like protein intake just in like 10 minutes.
Are you drinking straight egg yet? Just
no,
like...
I've not descended to that. I do split egg whites and egg yolks though.
Fairs.
I mean, well, I feel like I get burnout more. I'm way worse for burnout. I think that's because I'm more neurotic though. Like,
I think I've come to like a realization on burnout, but I'll tell you about it after you say your thing.
yeah, I don't know. It's like I have a few theories I want to test. Something I like to call the countercraft, like having creative avenues that are maybe less demanding to turn to, which then still feed creativity to do outside of your job. So like, rather than going and playing games, turn to the countercraft and go and do photography or draw or play guitar or piano. I definitely overdo it, and it's my thing I want to study and figure out is how can I prevent creative block. I don't think there's any way to do it, because it's like that thing that we call creativity, you can't like call on it. Like it's either there or it's not, and when it's time for it to go, you kind of just have to wait. Like you really can't force it. And then that's the thing, is like that's kind of where I want to like, it's gonna ease us into the next subject as well. It's just like, how can you be productive without being creative? Because when the creativity is not there, you still need to be productive, otherwise you don't live. So
yeah, well, I was saying, so my realization on burnout, right, is, so I've basically realized that that burnout is going to happen, and like I've given up on just trying to figure out like, is it this specific thing that I'm doing, or is it that, like there's like certain things that I can definitely avoid to not burn out. Like you were saying, like you need to have like a variation of things that you do. Like you can't just, like I feel like I burn out way quicker if it's like I'm working on this single shot, or I'm working on this one thing, and it's like I feel like I'm there on it, but the client or the director or whoever doesn't feel like I'm there on it, and I'm just fucking like, they don't even know what they want in some cases, and you're just going back and forth over and over again. And that normally, it's like such a soul destroying process when you're just on the same thing every day. And then like when you go and stop doing that work, you're thinking about how you're going to have to do that tomorrow as well. So you need to have some way of like switching up what you're doing, or you need to like take a step back, instead of just keeping going at it over and over again, if you can avoid it. Yeah, so it's
more like project specific, that.
Yeah.
So like you could like step away and do a render of something else, and it would.
Yeah, or just step away from your work. Like if you're gonna, because like normally if I'm having lunch and I'm like at work or wherever, normally I'll just stay in the office. But if you just go out, do something else, like take yourself away from the workspace, I think that is much more beneficial than just staying there and just trying to crack it over and over again.
Yeah, I've definitely felt that. Pulling myself away, I think that's where, in my little fantasy of waking up and working early in the morning and then kind of dividing my day with like a hour's walk or something, because like resting your brain, if you like have a break, at lunch or something, you sit on your phone or watch YouTube, you're actually still keeping your brain active the whole time, so you're actually not recharging. So you're going to come back after lunch and you're going to be just as burnt out. But if you like do something calm, like walk around, your brain's actually resting, and then when you come back, you're going to be recharged. But I think like you've got to do that outside of work to an extent. Is like have mindful time, and time where you're not just letting your brain be frantic and busy. Because if you come away from work and you then need to intentionally creative recharge, well, if you're clustering your mind with different things that don't give your brain a rest, you're not going to recharge, and then you're going to be burnt out, and then you're going to keep doing that and doing that and doing that till you just don't even have the ability to do anything, and then you have no choice but to pull away from absolutely everything until it comes back.
I think it's a lot more difficult to sort of like step away if you're, say you're on like a say you get a contract to do like some freelance work or whatever, you've got to do that work and you've got to get it out. So when you've got someone to answer to, it's a lot more difficult to take yourself away from it when you've got like a deadline to meet.
Yeah.
And I feel like my I've definitely I've started burning out less since like I started working full time, because like you don't really have a fucking choice. Like you just have to keep working through it, and that's cool, it can be really self-destructive. But I feel like if you can survive it, then burnout doesn't affect you as much, or you just can sort of like work through it in a way.
Yeah,
I think that's very like person specific. So
yeah, I feel like it's a good way to counter perfectionism as well, because you're then just going to be like, okay, time's up. This is that. It'll have to do. And I feel like when you've got a lot more freedom, you have that tendency to just keep chomping away at something and changing it. And you know, it's like that whole thing, and we've spoken about that before, is it's like when you make a render, and let's say you spend 3 hours on it, you probably get 90% of that done in 45 minutes. And then you're spending the next 2 hours and 15 minutes sitting there just tinkering with things, changing parameters, trying to get that edge on something, adding in useless things in the background because you just need that extra little thing. And it's like the person that's going to scroll past that on Instagram, or the client that's going to look at that, is not going to notice that extra 20% that you're spending hours putting in. And it's like, I think sometimes the deadlines can force you to just cut it clean and not waste time on those little things that don't matter.
Yeah, I think that it's important to just like stop the like pissing contest, basically. So like if you're like working on something for longer and you're like trying to do something like technical that's not really going to add much to this piece of work, then the only people that are going to care about that are the people that aren't giving you feedback, like the people that like your peers, so like your artists or whatever that you work with, or people on Instagram or whatever that also do that. They'll notice that. But at the end of the day, the people that actually like matter in that situation are the people that you're delivering the work to, and they won't care.
Yeah.
Or like the general, like the general person that's just going to scroll past and like look at it as eye candy.
Yeah, because it's like we think there's some weird universal standard to what makes a render a render. Like, and I think this applies more to personalized art, not client art, because it's already got a specific thing in mind. Whereas I think a lot of art we make on our own is, it starts off as a seed, and we start on that seed, and then it ends up spiraling and growing into something completely different anyway.
Yeah.
And I think that, well, that's what creativity is, you know. And we put this gauge on at what point does a render become a render, when technically you can just drop in something, add a few deformers, fracture it. You don't even have to texture it, you can just light it well. I think that's what I wanted to discuss in like lighting with intention, is it's like a render becomes a render when you decide it does. Like you can just put a sphere in and light that stuff in studio lighting and it's a render. And with this like personalized work, we have such odd standards because we see an Instagram post and it's like the most cataclysmic like image with all these different things and cities and VDBs and astronauts and trees.
Fucking like, astronauts.
Yeah. They have been a thing for the longest.
They need to go away.
They do.
This is my professional opinion. Astronauts need to go away.
I think I've posted a few renders in the Reddit before with astronauts in them, and
I bet they went crazy on Reddit. People on Reddit must love fucking astronauts.
They just try to slit your throat.
What, do you not like it?
Nah, they hate it.
Well, because there's an astronaut in it. Yeah,
some folk like it. Other folk, yeah, they just come at you. Like, well, it's so original. You've put a tree and an astronaut in it.
Well, now that I know that Reddit don't like astronauts, I think I like astronauts now.
Render Reddit is a funny place. It's like these like highly educated guys who probably
that's what I'm saying about the pissing contest.
Like
that's the people that you're trying to entertain when you try and do like something when you overcomplicate something. I'm not saying that you shouldn't spend lots of time on something, because in a lot of cases, depending on what you're trying to do, you do need to spend a lot of time on something, especially if it's like like a simulation where you can't just like put in a bunch of parameters and know it's going to work. You've got to iterate and iterate and until you get what you want. But
Yeah,
if you're
yeah,
just changing
it's
something
like,
for like the sport of it, just for no reason, and it's not adding anything, then don't bother.
Yeah, just shifting lights back and forth until you get somewhere, and then you put the way you've got it on a pedestal, and you're afraid to change it because you've lucked out to get it the way you have it. And then if you change it, you'll do like really dumb things like duplicate your whole lighting setup and then start moving it around, so you can go back to that old one if you need to, because you cherish it so much because it took you ages to just get them in the right spot.
Oh, you need to start versioning then.
Yeah.
When I started versioning, that's when I started like worrying about, will I be able to come back to this lighting setup? But I know what you mean though.
Would you mean saving incrementally?
Yeah.
Yeah, I already do that. I don't like working destructively, so I already do that. But it's I have to be careful with it because I just end up with like 9 files. Then I forget what one's what. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I know. But normally, like if I like a lighting setup, then I'll like save a frame and just call it the same file or whatever, and then you can be like, okay, that lighting's. Then you can go back and look at it and say, okay, that lighting was better or worse. Yeah,
I definitely see some people slightly more in the amateur side though. Like I'll post a render and it might be a little bit more simplified, and they will. You know, it might be something simple, just like something with an SSS material and nice lighting, and they will be like kind of dissing the fact that stuff like that performs well on Instagram. And it's not like I make stuff with the intention of it performing well. I do pick up on things like certain materials working better and like pastely drowned out colors on Instagram, and specific color palettes get way more likes than like just like dark images. It's crazy. But they will comment on it or message me about it and talk about the kind of like likes it's getting, as if it was a easy piece to make. Although it's simplified and most artists could break down the process: statue, SSS material, volume builder, lighting, cool, what else? Right?
Yeah.
They couldn't execute it the exact same, and they couldn't do it. So the render becomes the render very quick because... And although the process may not be the most complex, intricate web, a lot of people still couldn't recreate it because they don't understand the lighting or the texturing in the exact way I do. And it's not like I'm trying to describe that every artist is unique, because that's a different subject. I'm trying to explain that although something may be a simplified process, it still takes a lot of skill to execute that well. For example, you or me could make a sphere and light it in a way where it looks good on a white background. A white sphere on a white background, we could light it in a way where it looks good. An amateur couldn't, and that's it all, you know. Because we're happy making the sphere, lighting it well, and leaving it. Whereas the amateur will put a dragon and a tree and explode the sphere and put a vignette on it and a lens flare and do everything they possibly can to add to it. And I think you get to a certain point where you realize that like art is art, and it just becomes art when you say it's art, and then you leave it and it's done.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to agree that it's art, or you don't have to agree that it's good, but like don't get fucking mad that that's what performs well.
Yeah, it's like, why do we always think that more is better? Why do we always think that we have to, like, at what, it's like hedonic adaptation. Like, you know, we're all making renders of forests or whatever we're doing, and like procedural stuff and all that, right? And we do renders of it, and then we get bored of it and we need to add more. But can we not just backtrack and just settle to do a render of something really simple, you know, like what you've just done with some chains like falling apart?
Hey, that wasn't simple, man. That sim took fucking ages.
But it's like, you know, in this 3D world we get caught up in complex being better, whereas it's not like that in drawing, you know, or painting, because it's all in the technique. And you do not get bored of, for someone that draws people and they just draw people on a blank canvas, they do not eventually get bored of that and then have to start adding buildings and lasers and adding more detail. Like when I draw people, I don't even add detail to them. I just draw like, you know, models that look like they've came out of DAZ 3D, you know, just like faceless model. I just draw them because I like anatomy. And yeah, I think 3D should be more like that. Why do we always have to look for a way to add more models, more textures, more resolution?
But if you're saying that stuff, then aren't you sort of like the person that's saying, well, why are you making it so simple? Like, let them do their thing. Like, let's, because there's people that do like really complicated things really well, you know, really complicated scenes.
I'm saying to make things simple, it can take self-control though.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it takes.
Yeah, there's a difference
to
between
restrict yourself and keep some creativity in the tank for the next thing. You know,
there's a difference between overcomplicating something that doesn't need to be complicated.
Yeah.
And making something that is really complicated and
it was
because you have to make it complicated for whatever reason.
Yeah, like insecurity.
If the scene calls for it, or if what you're making calls for it, if you're doing like a fucking massive cityscape or whatever it is, then you can't just fucking throw in one or two things. Like you've got to populate with lots of foliage and this and that. Yeah. But yeah, if it doesn't need to be complicated, then don't waste your time on that.
I made this render of like this Dodge Challenger in the showroom, and I ended up like putting like an astronaut next to it, and he was like plugged into the car, and then I put like a tree behind the car. And then a month later I was like, why did I put them in it? Like, why and when? I just took them out and the render looked better, you know. It's like sometimes the subject matter needs to be the subject matter. Yeah,
that's true. Ways of being productive without being creative.
Yeah.
Did we talk about that?
Yeah, a little bit. Like I hinted at it, but yeah, like how do you be productive when you're not feeling creative? What do you do? Like, do you sit around and send emails, or do you
send what and ask for work?
Yeah, or prepare for stuff. Like, how do you handle that when you know you can't be creative?
Well, when I know I can't be creative, I'll do something that doesn't involve like something. I think you should find something other than like the one discipline you're doing. So like if you want to, for me it's like doing something technical. So for me it's coding instead of doing something artistic, because like you do need to be creative in the way that you think of solutions. But I feel like the mindset you're in for finding solution for a piece of code, or finding a reason for a piece of code, or for why you would create one, is like a lot different from thinking of a creative scene, or like creating something that is wildly unique to render. But I mean, when I'm not feeling creative, if I need to do something and I don't feel creative, or I'm burnt out on doing this, that, or the third, I'll go on Behance or Instagram, and then you just look at projects, and then if that doesn't spark your creativity, then you can always pick bits and pieces from it, and then maybe that'll spark an idea. If you start creating one thing from a project that you see on Behance, and then mixing it with this other thing, that can spark it.
Yeah, I made an art process video on it a few weeks ago. I was in a creative block, and I do that. I go on Behance and I pull the weirdest things ever to get like some momentum and get the motor going a little bit. And I found this render of these like lipsticks that were like falling. Someone had made like a product design. So I started making that in cinema, and over the course of a couple of hours it evolved into like that marble block with the trees coming out of it, and performed really well. But that initial idea of the lipsticks, and I just like I was making like some SSS like lipstick with like volume builder in it and stuff, and I thought that's where the render was going to go, and then it just went a completely other way. But I saw someone actually use that initial idea to make a render off of, and then post that on Instagram. So it's like the snowball effect of that is really cool, because although that idea didn't stick with me, it inspired someone else to then go make something out of that initial idea that I didn't use, which I think is really cool.
Yeah, exactly. It's just finding the spark, really, I guess. Yeah.
And I definitely think learning skills though, like I find it really easy to do photography when I'm not feeling creative and the creative block's right, like not in the best momentum. I also think things like modeling can be done when you're not in the best.
Yeah, that's more technical than like lighting and shading.
Yeah, assuming you're not doing like character design or anything. You can just drop in your references and just have at it. And it's like, I find photography, I don't think I would ever burn out as a photographer. I feel like 3D is one of the most creatively demanding, like, creative jobs you can do.
Depends what you're doing, but yeah.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. I find, like, when I do things like photography and drawing and all that sort of stuff, there's definitely still a meter there and a battery, but it is a lot slower.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because the subject's already there. You're not forging your subject out of thin air. You know, you just point and shoot. And inject creativity into how you approach that, as opposed to the creativity being the entire stilts and structure of it.
Yeah, totally. That's your inspiration's already in front of you, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Like, anybody can do the same thing. It's just how good you do it compared. Whereas, you know, anybody can point and click. But you put someone in front of Cinema 4D or Houdini and they are going to break in half.
Yeah.
I don't even know what they're looking at. You know? Like, I might drop in a cube and spin it around.
But yeah, the thing with 3D though, why I say it's not like, maybe not as creatively demanding as doing like fucking painting or whatever, is because if you break it all down, unless you're doing like modeling or sculpting, then everything can be broken down by somebody can re-enter all the keystrokes that you did, you know? That's
true, yeah. Somebody could do things
if they
the
had,
exact way, yeah.
They can break it all down and they could redo it. But if you haven't had the experience, like you could open like whoever scene file you want to fucking open, but if you don't know if you haven't had experience creating the scene or knowing what works or knowing how to light something effectively, then you won't be able to recreate it. If take that scene file away,
it's weird to think about that. It's just a trail of keylogs. I mean, it's like that in a painting, you know, like. It's like if you do a painting in Photoshop and you have your Control-Z cache up quite high, you can eventually get back. And it's like that with painting too. And I guess maybe all art's like that. You know? Everything's just
in a way you can break it all down.
Yeah.
But I think that it's a lot easier to break down like keystrokes and just building stuff out of than like sculpting or painting. That's why I say that it's probably more creatively demanding in a lot of ways.
You could keylog someone's machine and probably use that to get
and just rebuild the scene
results. Yeah
but and that's coming from someone that doesn't paint. I literally only do
I was always
digital art.
So shocked that you were never, like, I always had this weird assumption that most 3D artists were into art, you know, and it's like I wouldn't be a 3D artist if I wasn't into other art. It's like I'm such a, like, I feel like you're more of a computer geek than me and I'm more of a like traditional artist.
Yeah, you know? Definitely.
Which I feel like is a cool thing to combine forces on, actually. But yeah, you're more into coding and stuff, and I'm like I've got a drawing pad. Like, I sit and draw on Photoshop and stuff. You know, it's like.
Yeah, I'd love to be able to draw, but I don't know. I never sat down and like focused on it.
I feel like I'd love to be able to do it. Not having the skill developed, like you've definitely got the creativity. Like if you flushed out that skill, you could probably draw some insane shit.
Yeah, but I think the reason I'd want to do is mainly so I can like plan things on paper, like plan a scene on paper.
Yeah. Because
you can plan things with putting down primitives and whatnot, but it's not the same as being able to, you know, sketch something out. Yeah. If I had that, then I think that would be beneficial. But
yeah, I don't think
it's a necessity.
Severely limited in my creativity with 3D as well. It's like when you draw something, like you can draw whatever you want. You know, but it's like in 3D, you can't just pop in a dragon or UFO. You've got to go and buy that shit or spend hours modeling it. And I think that's kind of like a luxury in traditional art, is you can just do what you want when you want. You know, and it's like for us, it's like we want to do a render of Batman. Well, go buy one. You know?
Or go on fucking free 3D. Get a Batman model.
Yeah.
But that in a way is better than painting, because if you didn't have the technical ability to fucking draw,
you can't do that in painting.
Draw something.
You can't be like, okay, I want to add a landscape in this photo, but I haven't taught myself how to draw landscapes. How do I do that?
Yeah,
you can't do that in 3D if you don't know how to. You only do renders of cars, and you suddenly need a model of a skull. Well, you don't have to go and teach yourself how to draw a skull. You can just pop that in. And
Yeah,
that's definitely a luxury there. They both have their ups and downs.
double-edged sword, right?
Yeah, but I do get confused with people that are literally just software engineers. They're not artists. They're glorified software engineers. There's nothing about them that's creative. Like, how do they operate in this field? It's baffling. Like, do they operate better? I've got a feeling they kind of do. But then you see some of the stuff they produce and it's not good, you know?
Well, I think that having someone that's very good at one thing is they'll be a great asset to a team, you know? Like somebody that's very, very technically proficient at a piece of software, or I don't know, coding or whatever, but they're in a creative field. They can always be part of a team, and if it's like a team, like for example, like film is mainly all people that are really niche and specialize in one particular aspect of a program, or I guess the discipline of 3D. You know, one person is really fucking good at making particles, and all they'll do is make fucking sparks or whatever. Yeah. Which I mean, that's the stuff that if like it wasn't in the film, or if it wasn't in that scene, it wouldn't make any sense. So I guess if you're for certain teams, it makes sense to have someone that's like really fucking focused on one thing, and it's not they don't have to be good creatively. They just need to take instructions and execute it amazingly well.
You see, I love the thought of that. Like in a 3D studio, if I was in a 3D studio, I'll probably want to do lighting, and I'd probably just I would love like scenes coming through that are already textured and like set up, and the cameras are all there and everything. I just have to light it. Like, I love that. I absolutely love it. And I feel, it's like you get like gaffers on sets and stuff, and on movie sets, and it's like they come in there and they do the lighting, and then people come in there and do the audio, and it's like very specific things, and there's the cinematographer, and there's the set designers, and all these different things, and they do one thing specifically, and there's a lot of strain on us to do everything, I love the thought of just like doing nothing but grading. Like, I feel like I would cook for a long time,
Do you? I think I would, like, because for example, if you're working on film, then you're probably going to be you might be working on one or two shots for months and months at a time. And that goes back to me talking about when, what makes me burnt out is when I've got like a shot or something that I need to keep coming back to. And when I go to bed, I'm like, okay, tomorrow I've got to go and fucking, fix these particles or whatever. Like that's the stuff that burns me out.
Yeah, the repetitiveness of not being able to get something right and just doing it again and again and again.
Yeah, exactly. Doing so many iterations of the same thing.
Yeah, I definitely feel
because eventually it just becomes like a blur. You can't really tell the difference.
Getting asked to go back into files and change them and stuff, it's definitely tedious. And their whole re-rendering as well. I mean, I think you can skip that with the render farms, thankfully. But
I fucking love render farms.
I know, it's something I'm getting into.
Yeah.
But we could just say that's the show. That's it.
Well done, guys. Well done for getting to the end. If you skipped, I'll find you.
Check out my Selfie store before you check out his.
I have way better landscapes in the sky.
Oh, whoa! I have like one.
We should do a render off with our own landscape pack. See who makes the best render. How funny would that be?
Oh, it would be hilarious. I feel like I don't feel very confident in my landscapes. Like when I'm doing landscape renders, I don't know what to do with them. Like, back to that whole thing, I'm like, what do I add to this? Like, it's after you get the whole terrain down, I'm like, this is kind of boring.
Yeah, I know, right? Because like, I mean, you can add like foliage and stuff, or you can add like a model of something.
Yeah, or just flowing spheres. That's the best way to go.
Yeah, that's how you get all the money on Instagram.
Should we wrap that up there then?
Yeah.
So that's going to be today's show. I hope you enjoyed hearing us speak about a wide range of things. If you have any questions, please get in touch. Tell us what you want to hear about. You can find me on Instagram at sketchyeffects, and you can find Ewan at axis_effects. So be sure to get in touch. I hope you enjoyed, and we'll see you next week for another episode. Okay, Okay, so here in cinema we have a scene.
What's up guys, Axis here and I'm back with showing you how to